What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Phillies Sports History for May 9th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Feel Good Friday edition of the podcast. We made it. I don't know about you, but it was a long week. It's always tough when I'm out of the office. I had a lot going on this week, but it is a Feel Good Friday, and we got a big show. So let's get right into it. We'll start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. It was a Phillies vibe check. I said, after taking the series against the Rays, how were we feeling? 57% of you feel good. A lot of people still skeptical. A lot of folks saying, wake me up in October. A lot of people still concerned about Bryce and just his need to relax and stop trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark every time. And then a lot of negative, same old shit, same old team, same old thing. But overall, 57%, and I bet a lot of those people voted before the game last night. Thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. There will be another one later here in the show, but let's get into that game yesterday. And I missed the beginning. I had something going on I'll get into here in a minute, but what a win. They basically were asleep for the first 7 innings, managed only 2 hits. Jesus Luzardo was not terrible. Definitely did not have his best stuff, but certainly kept them in the game. And really, you got to have more than 2 hits. And then the 8th inning happened, and the floodgates opened. That game showed me something. Very resilient of that team. They were able to hit the 3-run homer in the 8th. They were able to tie it up in the 9th and then win it into extra innings. And honestly, yes, it's the Rays. The Rays are not it's not the Dodgers or the Braves or the Mets or the Padres or any of the good teams. But to be able to come back like that after essentially being dead for the first 7 innings of this game and the way they did it, that showed me something. Yes, Stott used the long ball, but they won that game playing small ball. Stott bunted Marsh over to third. Timely hits again, hitting the ball where the players are. Aggressive base running. I mean, I like it. I mean, I liked what I saw. The bullpen was solid. I don't know what to say. I mean, I am back in on this team. I think they're finally starting to turn it around, and it's the way they're doing it. It's not so much that they're beating up on these teams that they should be beating up on, quite frankly. It's the way they're doing it. They're not doing it with the long ball. They're not relying on home run or nothing. And I've seen a lot of talk and stats out there. If you think back to the 2011 Phillies, the team that won 102 games, everybody talks about the 4 aces and how good the starting pitching was. Their offense was not good that year. And that ultimately is what cost them and caught up with them in the postseason. This team, I think, offensively is more consistent. And the fact that they're doing these little things, the fact that they're bunting, they're running, they're taking the extra base when they can, I think that's going to be a little bit different. And I'm not saying this pitching staff is as good as that, but it's just something to kind of keep in mind as we kind of go through with this team. They're doing the little things right. I feel like the home runs will come. It's one of those things everybody always says in the NFL, sacks come in bunches. I feel like home runs are the same way. Once guys start hitting, it's contagious. So I feel as though that is going to come. But what a resilient, gritty, good win for the Phils. 7-6 in 10 innings over the Rays. They go out to Cleveland tonight to play the Guardians. Aaron Nola's on the mound looking to continue his recent success. But I'll take that. What a win. And if this is a team that is going to never be counted out and you got to kind of worry about them and it's must watch, it's going to be a fun summer. And this team is going to win a lot of games. I saw on the broadcast last night, they're on pace to win 96 games, I think it was, or something like that. So I know it hasn't been pretty the entire season, but maybe, just maybe, we've been too hard on the Phils. I know we talked about that earlier in the season. Or earlier this week, I should say. And I think a lot of it stems from us having that Eagle mentality. And it's such a cliche, but baseball is a marathon, not a sprint. And I feel as though coming off the Eagles winning the Super Bowl, we're like all right, living and dying with each game. When in baseball, you can't be like that. There's 162 of them. There's going to be some clunkers in there. You're going to go through down periods. It was unfortunate for the Phils. We saw that early in the season when we're still riding high off the Eagles. So I think we need to kind of shift out of that Eagles mentality where we live and die with every game and just enjoy the ride, because I completely revamped how I was going to approach talking about the Phillies today after they had 2 hits in 1 inning or 7 innings. And I was going to talk about the Eagle mentality, but again, great win for them. But I do think it's a different mentality for baseball than what we have for the NFL. And I think that's where a lot of the angst is coming from, because the expectations are high for this team. I'm not going to deny that. The fact that they're running back essentially the same team, again, that is valid, and I'm right there with you. But I do think we're approaching this with an Eagles mindset or an Eagles eye, not to make a pun there, but I think we need to kind of back off and let it play out. Because if you look, I think they're like 22-15, 23-15. Not bad. I mean, they're right there in the thick of where they need to be. So games like this are fun, but they showed me something about this team, and I like what I saw, mainly because it's not just the long ball. They're doing small things, and they're not striking out. I think they throughout this little or this series, I think they struck out 5, maybe 6 times per game, which compare that to 10, 11, 12 that we were seeing at points last year. I'll take it. So good win out in Cleveland tonight. Aaron Nola's on the mound. I'm looking forward to it. All right, so here's our Truist Championship update. Apparently, it was a blast. I had a couple buddies that went out. I was seeing pictures from different perspectives. Very cool that the PGA is here. But the players were going at the Wissahickon course out there at the Philadelphia Cricket Club. Keith Mitchell shot a course record, 61. He leads by 1 over Denny McCarthy. Ricky Fowler had a 29 on the front 9. He's at -7 with Colin Morikawa and a lot of other guys for second. And Rory was the fan favorite. Everybody was cheering for Rory. He's at -4, certainly right there in contention. But it should be a fun weekend of golf right in my front yard, like I said, which is pretty cool. But we'll continue to update the Truist Championship each day after each round. But lots of fun was out there. Heard a couple. There was a lot of Go Birds chants. Apparently, a Go Birds made the broadcast, which you gotta love Philly. You gotta love Philly. But that's the Truist Championship update for today after round 1. All right, let's do some housekeeping. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, @PhillyJimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Continue to spread the word as we grow this thing. And I'm going to try to do this at least once a week. If you are a new listener, welcome. We are glad to have you. I hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, if you go to my social media, there are highlights on all of my social media, including Facebook and LinkedIn. Hit me up there. And as always, there's a lot of good discussions on the Facebook page with the question of the day and things like that. So go follow me, check out the social media so you can see clips, photos, newspaper articles, things like that that relate to what we're talking about that day. Of course, today is Friday, and we always spend Fridays with AI. Don't know when he's coming, but you'll know when he's here. And then last night, I want to give a shout out to Philadelphia Youth Basketball, PYB. I volunteered at their sneaker ball last night. It's a great organization that gives so many opportunities to the kids in Philadelphia. But just overall, it was a fun night. The 6-man center is over in the Nicetown section of Philadelphia, right off of Wissahickon Ave. But a good time. Lots of people turned out. Great meeting some people, just hanging out. Overall, good event. So if you want any information or want to donate or give back, PYB is a great organization, so you can go check them out at Philly Youth Basketball. But just wanted to shout them out because it was a great time, a great event, and I'm already looking forward to volunteering and being involved with them again next year. So go check them out. All right. I did run a Tankathon simulation this morning for the Sixers, and for the second straight day, they lost their pick. They dropped down to number 7 today. So hopefully we're getting them out. So on Monday, the Sixers will be able to continue their usual good luck in the NFL or the NBA draft lottery. All right, that does lead to today's question of the day. And I've heard a lot of folks talking about this on the radio, on my social media, because I have a lot of fans in my circle on both sides of this. But the Celtics are playing the Knicks. This is essentially the equivalent in the NFL of the Cowboys and Giants, Cowboys and Commanders, Giants, Commanders playing, where we hate both teams. And people are saying, oh, I'm rooting for the Celtics because I hate the Knicks, or I'm rooting for the Knicks because I hate the Celtics. And I'm seeing a lot of hate on both sides. So I figured, why not? I'm going to weigh in on this. And some of you are not going to like this, but as Sixers fans, we should be rooting for the Celtics in this series. And here's why. And yes, the Sixers Celtics have a rivalry, and I'm going to put that in air quotes. But, and again, we've been talking about the harsh truths we all need to accept on Tuesdays to become better people. This is a harsh truth that we need to accept as Phillies fans. We are not in the same class as the Celtics. I mean, look at, 18, 19 championships, and everybody talks about the rivalry. It's been kind of one-sided. And yes, the Sixers have gotten the best of them. They beat them when they won the championship in 66, 67. They beat them when they won the championship in 82, 83. They beat them to go to some of those finals that they lost against the Lakers. But the Celtics have gotten the best of us. So I'm not saying we should not have a rivalry with the Celtics. I'm just saying we're not really in their class. The Knicks, however, they haven't won a championship since 1973. We're more in their class. Plus, they're from New York, and you know the Philly-New York rivalry. We hate all New York teams. But here's why you root for the Celtics. Can you imagine, and I have a couple of these guys in my circle, which I'm thinking of specifically, and if you follow any of the Clashing Conferences podcasts, you know that Topher Pete is one of them. And don't want to put any slander out there, but I'm going to talk trash on Topher Pete right now. The last thing I need is for the New York Knicks to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, God forbid, win an NBA championship. Can you imagine how insufferable New York fans will be if the Knicks win? So that, my friends, is why we need to root for the Celtics in this series. And if we're being honest, we're not in the same stratosphere, same class, same whatever as the Celtics. I'm sorry, we're not. We just need to accept that. Now, 99.9% of the time, I'm rooting against the Celtics. This series, I'm rooting for them. And I know the Knicks are up 2-0, but man, how insufferable are they going to be if they do win? And I can't have that. So I'm rooting for the Knicks, but that is today's question of the day. Who are you rooting for? Knicks, Celtics. And the Knicks got spotted the 2-0 lead, but the Celtics are still favored in the series. I still think the series will end up going 7. But who do you got? Who are you rooting for, I should say? And neither is not an option. You have to choose one. I know I heard some people saying, I'm just rooting for good basketball. That's a cop-out. Pick a side. Who are you rooting for? And then if you want to tell me how wrong I am for rooting for the Celtics, I'm fine. I just cannot bring myself to root for a New York team, especially when it's the Knicks and all of the trash. Remember, they came in and overtook our stadium last year in the playoffs. All of the crap they were talking on Embiid up in Madison Square Garden. Screw them. I cannot root for them. I don't want them to win. You can tell me I'm wrong, but you would be wrong for that. So let me know. Who are you rooting for? Who do you root for? The Knicks or the Celtics? 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. I got to go Celtics, man. I cannot root for a stinking New York team. Just cannot do it. Cannot do it. Because I don't want to hear their fans. It's one of those teams that I pray that the Sixers win another championship before the Knicks win another one. I mean, the Celtics have already won how many? They have our number. They own us. We're their little brother, whatever you want to say. The Knicks, though, we still got that 10-year. It's been 10 years. We won a championship 10 years earlier, I guess would be the way to describe it, than they did. Can't root for them. But let me know your thoughts on that. Speaking of the Clashing Conferences, go check them out wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And also go to clashingconferences.com. Lots of great things going on in their sports fan network. You can join Topher, some of the other guys. You literally can join them. So go see how you can get involved, what they have to offer at theclashingconferences.com. But check them out. And no, we cannot let the New York Knicks win. And then do some shopping at Philly Goat. And I wore my Bird Wing shoes, the Chuck Taylor-inspired Eagles Kelly Green shoes last night because it was a sneaker ball. So many compliments, so many people asking me where I got them. You can get them right at Philly Goat. So go to phillygoat.com, pick up the Bird Wings, pick up some of the canvas loafers, some tees, do some shopping for Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthdays, whatever you got, and then use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. But I'm telling you, the Bird Wings were very comfortable. Lots of compliments on them. It looked good with a black shirt and a Kelly Green tie. So if you ever get invited to a sneaker ball, pick up the Bird Wings at Philly Goat and use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, today we're going to go back to 1993. And this played out perfectly with the way the Phillies game ended yesterday. But on this day in 1993, the Phillies beat the Cardinals 6-5 at the Vet when Mariano Duncan hit a grand slam with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th off of Lee Smith, who was at the time the all-time saves leader. I think he's been passed since then. I will check and confirm that, or you can look it up yourself. But Lee Smith, for those of you who don't know, was the dominant closer of the 80s and early 90s, and it just was when he came in, when he was with the Cardinals, you kind of just knew that it was over. I believe he was with the Cubs for a little bit too, and it was just kind of like a lights out type situation. Not quite Mariano Rivera-esque, but Lee Smith was just dominant. So for Mariano Duncan to hit a 2-out grand slam off of Lee Smith was huge. But Mitch Williams came in, got the save, which was his 13th of the season, was leading the league at that point. They picked up Schilling. Schilling did not pitch well in this game, but the offense picked him up, and Mitch Williams was able to shut it down. They had walked it off, too, the night before in the 10th inning against the Cardinals. So that 93 team was such a resilient bunch. And if we can get any of that out of this year's Phillies team, that would be huge. But the 6-5 win gave the Phillies at that time on May 9th a 6.5 game lead in the NL East. It was their best start since 1913. They opened up 22-7. But Duncan's home run was one of you got some of those core memories. If you ever watched, I believe it's Inside Out is the movie where it takes you inside the girl's brains with all the emotions. Core memory here. Mariano Duncan's grand slam. You have Milt Thompson's catch, the 441. But this game was one of those core memories from that Phillies season as the Phillies beat the Cardinals 6-5. Mariano Duncan with the grand slam off of Lee Smith in the bottom of the 8th to win it for the Phils as they opened up a 6.5 game lead. I believe over the Expos at the time were in second place, but it was such a great season, and this was just one of many memorable plays.
It's time for Fridays with AI, where we ask AI to rewrite Philly sports history. Every Friday only on This Day in Philly Sports History.
That's right. It's time for Fridays with AI. And every Friday we spend with AI, ask them to rewrite Philly sports history through a different lens. And today, in honor of the eve of the NBA draft lottery, I wanted to know what would have happened if Sam Hinkie had been able to not been forced to resign and was able to see out the process. As you know, he resigned, but kind of pressure from the NBA when the Colangelos came in, and he cited in his resignation letter that he felt he didn't have the control that he wanted to be able to fully do the job. The NBA was upset that the Sixers were openly and blatantly tanking. But what if Sam Hinkie had stayed and had been able to see through the process? Would it have been different? Well, we asked AI, and here's what AI had to say. They said, in this alternate reality, Josh Harris and comes out and basically publicly supports Hinkie and convinces Adam Silver to say, hey, what we're doing is trying to improve our team, and we're within the rules. It complies with everything, and the Colangelos don't necessarily come in and interfere. So Sam Hinkie's allowed to do what he does. So we pick up with the 2016 draft. Sixers have the first pick. Simmons is the pick. It was kind of one of those things, despite the red flags, everybody knew Ben Simmons was going to be the number one pick. So I'm okay with that. But the key here is Sam Hinkie, as he was known to do, kind of like Howie Roseman, was wheeling and dealing, made some trades, gets them 2 picks in the 2018 draft. He got involved with the D'Angelo Russell deal that sent him to the Lakers. And it was like and Ben Simmons was a Hinkie type pick anyway. He was going to be hurt for his first year, played right into what his view and vision was for tanking and all of that. They pulled the number 3 pick in the 2017 draft just like they did because he had all that draft capital. He was able to go. And without the Colangelos pulling the shady deal with the Celtics and Danny Ainge, Tatum actually falls to the Sixers, and the Sixers end up with Jason Tatum, probably the way it should have been. And so here's your core 3 of Jason Tatum, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid. Then the fun starts. And this is where we never got to see what Sam Hinkie's actual plan was. But in this AI alternate reality, he ends up trading Dario Saric and Robert Covington and a protected future number 1 pick to the San Antonio Spurs for Kawhi Leonard. They have the money to sign him to a long-term deal. So Kawhi comes to a team with a lot of young talent, becomes the kind of go-to guy on it, and basically is happy because the Sixers, due to Sam Hinkie, have the money to actually pay him. So now your starting 4 is Joel Embiid, Jason Tatum, Ben Simmons, and Kawhi Leonard. Not too shabby at all. And then in 2019, it's time to go after free agents. They bring in guys like Joe Harris and PJ Tucker. And what that does is allows them to have those role player guys to go with the big 4. Obviously, they're able to re-sign and keep Kawhi Leonard because of all the cap space they have. They make a surprising run in 2020 to the Eastern Conference Final, down in the bubble, before losing to the Miami Heat. But then 21-22 is when it all comes together. The Kawhi Leonard-led Sixers are able to win the NBA championship. Brett Brown remains the coach this entire time. Sam Hinkie changes the way the NBA operates, forces them to put in certain rules to make it not as obvious and blatant. You have to hit certain criteria if you're quote-unquote tanking. But I think this isn't that far-fetched. I mean, maybe because at the time you didn't know what Joel was going to be. But I think what this does for Ben Simmons is allows him to flourish as sort of that point guard coming down and able to facilitate and let his skill set do what he's able to do. Because when in our reality, he was the number 2 option. Ben Simmons just didn't have the mental makeup or the mental capacity to be the number 2 option, as we saw. But I think this allows him to flourish. It allows the pressure to be off Joe. Joe probably stays healthy. But as we'll see, eventually after that 21-22 championship, it got too expensive to keep everybody. I mean, Tatum was coming into his own as a star. Joe was a star. Kawhi was getting older. Ben really probably wouldn't have gotten all the max money he got, but he turned into a solid player, so it was hard to keep them together. However, Sixers do get a championship with Sam Hinkie and the process in this alternate reality, and it changes the way things were done. And AI did say that maybe they don't have that big four, but Kawhi really would have been the focal piece of that team. Maybe they end up trading Tatum. Maybe they end up trading Joel. There was a lot of scenarios where it could have gone either way. But for that 21-22 season, it was magical. Sixers roll to the NBA championship. And again, changes the way things are done in the NBA. But from a Philadelphia perspective, it changes the whole narrative of the Sixers. Obviously, they become very popular in the way that like the Phillies are. Going down to the Wells Fargo Center is a must-see. Everybody wants to get tickets. It's a hard ticket to get. And it allows the city, it allows the teams to invest in the South Philly complex. They add the shopping. They put money into revamping the Wells Fargo Center. They want to kind of make that the focal point instead of trying to go downtown and things like that. But all the shopping, the hotels, and the entertainment mecca of Philadelphia becomes the South Philly complex, all because Sam Hinkie was allowed to see the process through. What do you think? A little far-fetched there? I mean, in reality, I don't know. I don't think it sounds that crazy. But let me know your thoughts on AI if Sam Hinkie had stayed and been able to see the process out. And then finally today, our Philly Sports Summertime playlist. We're going to add one of my favorite yacht rock songs of all time, and that is the Lido Shuffle by Boz Scaggs. It hit number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100. It was released in 1976. And the Philly Sports Ties, whenever Lido Shepherd made a big play, they played Lido. Oh, oh, oh. My all-time favorite memory of them playing this, and some people brought this up when we were doing the favorite memory at the link, and I'm sure there's a little bit of hyperbole in here, but it did play early, and I'll get into that in a minute. But that was 2006, close game against the Cowboys. It was Terrell Owens' return to Philadelphia at the link. Drew Bledsoe had them driving. It was 4th down from the Eagles' 6 with not much time left, and Lido takes his pass, returns it 102 yards for the pick 6. And I swear it was at like the 25, 20-yard line. The PA announcer started playing the Lido Shuffle. It was probably closer to like the 5 or the goal line, but I swear it was super, super early. The song was played before Lido Shepherd got into the end zone, but it sealed the 38-24 win for the Eagles. And honestly, I cannot hear the Lido Shuffle. I'm a big yacht rock fan. All summer, I play a ton of yacht rock. I can't hear this song and not think about being at the link and Lido Shepherd making a great play. And then we're going to give you a bonus song today, and can't talk about a yacht rock song without going to the king of yacht rock. I mean, take your pick of what Michael McDonald song you want to play. You want to add 10, you can add that to your summertime playlist. But we're going to add, back when he was with the Doobie Brothers, What a Fool Believes by the Doobie Brothers is our bonus song. But the Lido Shuffle by Boz Scaggs is today's Summertime Philly Sports playlist song of the day in honor of Lido Shepherd. You all know it. I can't think of it without thinking of Lido Shepherd. Oh, oh, oh. All right. We spent Fridays with AI. AI says if Sam Hinkie had been able to stay, the Sixers would have won a championship, likely in 21-22, which kind of was always that magic number. Somewhere between 19 and 22, that those seasons were where it was kind of projected out that the Sixers would be competitive. So I don't think it's that far. Maybe getting Kawhi and some of those things are a little far-fetched, but I do think they would have won the championship. And I am a process truther till the day I die, and it didn't work out. I still say it was the right move. And you can argue with me, but it was the right move. Trust me. I lived the Clarence Weatherspoon era. I led the NBA purgatory where you were 8, 9, 10, 11 seed, just not quite good enough here, not quite bad enough there. The process was the right move. On this day in 1993, Phillies beat the Cardinals 6-5 when Mariano Duncan hit a grand slam in the bottom of the eighth off of Lee Smith. Phillies opened up a 6.5 game lead. What a fun season that was. And our Phillies last night had a 93-like win over the Rays. You got to love it. We'll have another Tankathon tomorrow. We will add to our summertime Philly sports playlist. Of course, we'll update the Truist Championship as well as the Phillies as we gear up and get ready for the NBA lottery on Monday. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for May 9th, 2025. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a feel-good Friday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.